Hello, Internet! Welcome to almost July 2020. We have all inexplicably somehow survived the first half of this year. It is somehow almost July, yet how is it only July? My sense of time is completely awry, and I will stop rhyming. It has been quite the insane day, week, month, year, but I am excited to be here with you guys today. We're going to mix it up a little bit. Last week we did a lot of nonfiction news, which led into some real-world news. Sorry, those are the same thing. We did some nonfiction news into some fiction news, and then some real-world non-pop culture news in the middle before we went into streaming recommendations, and I loved that format. People seem to really identify with it. If you're here for the escapism of this show, if you just want the pop culture stuff, I want to be able to give that to you, but I also at the same time need to acknowledge the fact that we need to talk about the real-world things that are happening, so that goes right there in the middle, and then at the end we go into recommendations. And this week is tricky because there is no new comic books tomorrow. There's no new books July 1st on a Wednesday. There are a bunch of trade paperbacks. Nothing that particularly jumped out to me from Marvel, DC, Image, so I'm not going to talk about tomorrow's pull list. I'll do it next week when there's new comic books, but there are no new polls tomorrow for me. So I'm going to be talking about more streaming recommendations. So I'm going to dive into the stuff from today, June 30th, through the first week of July for streaming recs on, your Hulu, your HBO Max, your Disney Plus. I'm going to go into those in a little bit more depth to make up for the comics that are not out. So watch some movies this week. We're going to talk about them. All right, so let's kick this off with the insane news that Broadway will not be resuming this calendar year. So I want to talk about cinema in the time of coronavirus, in the time of pandemic, in the time of quarantine, and I figure the best place to start is when Broadway, the land of the show must go on, calls it for the year. We really need to look at the expectations, the ramifications, all of the insanity of the actual science behind opening movie theaters back up. I am all about movie theaters as a concept, as a piece of our culture, as an experience. As you guys know, if you're watching this show, you probably know me as being the guy that's yelling about how important movie theaters are. And I don't think we should open them in August. They moved AMC's release date. They moved AMC's expected opening date from basically now. They were going to open very early on in July to the end of July. And likewise, Tenet has moved its release date to late August. Mulan moved its release date to the very end of August after Tenet. And Bill and Ted moved. Everything basically shifted. Every week on the show, we talk about release dates. At this point, I'm just going to let you know the big broad shifts. I'm not even going to say the numbers of the dates anymore because every release date is a New Mutants release date until otherwise confirmed. It's just kind of throwing darts, and then someone goes and picks up the darts again, and we throw darts, and someone goes and picks up the darts again. It's a drunk game on a Friday night at your local pub, but when pubs were open. So personally, I don't think it makes sense for the theaters to reopen. I'm about as invested as a human being gets. I think the culture of movie theaters is as much a fabric of the nation's uniqueness as anything. I think it's as important as concerts. It's as important as books. It's as important as church. It's as important as anything that makes Americans unique. It is a hub for a community to gather, to experience art, to experience a similar waking dream together. No matter what genre of movie, you're experiencing that art together with like minds, and there's nothing to me like the screen and the sound and the immersion and everything else, especially with a good crowd. So literally the most important thing to me is the movie theater. And with Broadway saying, hey, we're not going to open back up for the rest of the year, I do think movie theaters should take a look at that. I know they've all adjusted their dates, which I appreciate. Again, I couldn't be more invested because not only is it personally affecting to me, I've worked at movie theaters, but my mom still does. My mother is an employee of a movie theater. She's a manager at a movie theater, and it's really scary to me because she's my mom, and I don't want her interacting with hundreds of people a night while these numbers skyrocket. I don't want my mom being exposed. There's no amount of precautions they could take that would make me feel good about my mom being in public, surrounded by the masses. My mom just hit 100 days of self-quarantine. She's been out twice. She messed up her wrist, went to the doctor once, and then a follow-up. So my mom has been doing incredible about self-quarantining. I don't want her work reopening demanding her to get pulled back into it. So all of my notes about movie theaters, I need you guys to take with every grain of salt that I'm personally invested in wanting them open, but also personally invested in my mother's safety. I think as much as I don't want streaming to take over, which could happen on a long enough timeline anyway. A lot of people enjoy the comforts of home. A lot of people don't experience the movie theater as much as I do. A lot of people think that it's just a place for people to talk and cause problems and throw food. And I've had bad movie theater experiences, but they by no means even dent the positive movie theater experiences I've had. So we are going to have to adjust. We are going to have to see how things change in the time of streaming superiority. Right now, there is so much streaming content. I do disagree with the idea of releasing movies early on streaming that need a theatrical release. I think The King of Staten Island is a perfect example of a movie that it didn't get delayed and it just came out on streaming. I think that absolutely works for an independent dramedy. I think it might have even done better because you get 50% or more of your release money for every $20 ticket sale with home release that way. Trolls put out a press release that was a little short-sighted saying basically, hey, we made more money in X number of days with this home release than we would have in X number of days theatrical as per our first movie's ticket numbers. So I do think there are benefits for certain movies. However, I don't want to see New Mutants in streaming. I don't want to see it on Disney Plus. That is a theatrical film. I don't want to see Tenet at home. I don't want to see Black Widow at home. Some movies are designed for a certain experience, and my personal opinion is that we've had 100 years of movies that are all popping up on streaming, and that's what the latter half of the show is going to be covering. All of the new stuff that's coming just this month. Tomorrow, hundreds of movies. There are literally not enough hours in the day to consume all of the movies that you have access to on any one giving streaming service. Say you only have Disney Plus. That is $6 a month. That is substantially less than releasing Black Widow for $30. That's 5 months worth of Disney Plus for the cost of Black Widow to make any sort of sense. Again, I'm not for these movies getting released at home. So you'd have to watch every one of those movies to be out of content, not to mention all the TV shows, not all the new original stuff. And that's just one of the streamers. You've got Netflix, which has all of the comedy specials you could ever hope for. It's got all of the long-form TV. It's got all of the movies. Then Hulu. Then free ones like Crackle and Pluto TV. There is literally no way to consume all the content from the last 100 years of movies to make it not make sense to release these new ones. So I think sprinkling it in there, maybe a studio does the occasional, the Pete Holmes film I just mentioned, some of their dramedies they weren't sure about. I think that makes some sense. Lovebirds, I think, did pretty well. That was supposed to get a theatrical release. But I don't think we should sacrifice the theatrical window, because once that closes, it's going to be really hard to reopen that window. And that's how we lose movie theaters. If we suddenly decide it's fine to release these first-rate films, not like first-rate like King of Staten Island any less, I can't wait to see that movie, but these first-rate blockbuster films, if we release those without a theatrical window, we're accepting a lack of theatrical experience. And I don't think that makes sense for the longevity of movie theaters, the longevity of the art of movie theaters, and there's no sustainable way to have a $200 million budget movie released at home. Even if they charge $100 a ticket, then 10 people are going to come over because nobody's listening to these social distancing guidelines. It's going to become pay-per-views, which don't cost $200 million to uphold. So we're not going to have these blockbusters in the same way. So for whatever studio reps are watching this, for whatever pull any of you may have, I personally think it is the worst thing for cinema to get rid of the theatrical window. So let's find a balance. That said, there is a lot of balance coming in what different outlets are doing. Right now, we've got the drive-in having an incredible resurgence. Drive-ins are doing incredibly well because they are a very safe way to see movies. You are by definition socially distant. You are by definition only around those in your household or people you're going to be close to because you're in a car. I think they're a great way to see classic films. I think they're a great way to see certain new dramas that are coming out, new horror movies. I think seeing The Invisible Man at a drive-in would be incredible. I saw Twister, which is getting a remake, by the way. I saw Twister at a drive-in, and I remember that was one of the coolest ways to see it because basically the wind and the experience of being outdoors mixed with Twister was just... So it was such a cool experience, and I think that's a unique way to watch a movie on top of it being as close as we can safely do any sort of cinema right now that is in a communal way. And it brings back a classic piece of Americana that we haven't really been doing. The drive-in is not what it once was, and I think it's really cool that they're coming back. Now, Michael B. Jordan, what I'm pulling up over here on my computer, is Michael B. Jordan is doing a drive-in curated list of movies that he is helping sponsor and curate, and they're going to be free, and they start tomorrow. So drive-ins are going to be this really cool thing this summer, and I think through quarantine that'll really help people get that theatrical experience while also being safe, and I think that's so important because you want people to feel like their life isn't over. You want people to feel any sort of normalcy, and I think it's a really cool way to have that. So beginning on July 1st, we're getting Love and Basketball and a Crazy Rich Asians double feature. So that is going to be a double bill of those two films. Then the following July 15th, we are getting Black Panther and Creed, two Michael B. Jordan movies I love very, very much. That will be the Movies to Make You Proud slot. We'll also be getting Hook, Coming to America, Get Out, all of that through August 26th. So we're getting tons of double bills with Michael B. Jordan, and these are all sponsored by Amazon as well as Michael B. Jordan, and they're all going to be free. So check out what your local theater is doing to do those. If you have a local drive-in, a lot of those are going to be playing those movies. I'm excited for the 26th is doing Coming to America and Girls Trip, and 2 weeks before that on August 12th is Do the Right Thing and Get Out. So these double features are stacked. They're incredible. I think it's really cool that we have this opportunity to have drive-ins get any sort of resurgence, and I think it's great of Michael B. Jordan and Amazon to be teaming up to make them free. So check out your local drive-in. Check out those Friday nights at the movies. Starting tomorrow, July 1st, there's going to be movies at drive-ins that are sponsored by Amazon, and they're great movies. So it's not like you're stuck watching one great movie and then a double feature. You're watching some classic stuff. So it's exciting, and it's a great time to watch movies you might have never seen. Bring your kids to movies they might have not seen yet. Bring a date to a movie they haven't seen. It's a really cool opportunity to show classic film because, again, 100 years of movies. We don't need to sacrifice the ones. Also, something people I feel like aren't accounting for is it's going to take twice as long to make a movie going forward. Its days on set are going to have to be cut in half. Page counts are going to have to be, if they were at a pace of 6 pages, which is pretty fast, they're going to be cut down to 3. If they were doing soap opera numbers and doing 12, 18 pages, they're not going to be cranking those numbers out. If they're doing action set pieces and they're doing one giant page of stunts in a day, that might be like a 3-day set because you're getting... Everyone has to be tested first. Everyone has to self-quarantine. Everyone has to be a certain amount of distance. Like, this is going to be a life-changing event, so you got to keep in mind movies are going to take longer to finish. So when theaters do open back up, all the movies that are finished right now and are on hold, those are the ones we're going to need to be playing in theaters. If we burn through all the movies that are complete in order to have these movies at home, we won't have movies to play because these movies that are in, movies that were 3/4 done are more like half done now. Movies that are in, a month into production are going to take another 6 months to finish. The Batman, I heard, was between a third and a half done. That's going to take a lot longer to wrap up. Speaking of which, though, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the Disney Plus show, which Anthony Mackie describes as like a 6 or 8 hour movie, we have this European ban. Americans can't leave and go into Europe because we're not handling COVID logically, responsibly, or intelligently. So the European bloc has said that Americans aren't welcome, so our passports aren't good there. So we can't, as of tomorrow, go into the UK. But the cast and crew of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier can, because they're all going to get tested. They've all been self-quarantining. They took the right protocols, so they are going to go finish making that show that I am very, very excited for. So I was actually a little worried about shows that had been filming in other places like The Batman, like The Falcon and Winter Soldier wouldn't be able to finish filming because of the travel ban. But I think they're going to be having certain conversations about those things going forward. So keep in mind, plenty of movies to watch, and movies aren't going to be done when theaters reopen if we keep playing them. It's going to be really, really crazy. So we will see what happens. Also, Disney Plus is bearing some of the weight of this isn't how we expected things to go, and just like the drive-ins making a resurgence, Disney Plus is doing a Friday night at the movies every Friday night, which I think is a really cool way to release their vault. Disney Plus is obviously going to need to, keep releasing new things to keep people interested in their app. Even though it's impossibly cheap, people obviously want more. This week is Hamilton. That is the big announcement. I've never seen Hamilton. They moved up the release of Hamilton a year to give us content on Disney Plus. I am very excited. Me and a group of my friends are already planning on doing a Zoom watch-along of Hamilton. I've always wanted to see it. I've never been able to afford Hamilton tickets because they're Hamilton tickets. And I'm a huge Daveed Diggs fan. I've met Lin-Manuel Miranda a few times, and he's a great dude. Loves comics, loves Deadpool. And I think the dudes, Daveed and Lin, are both awesome humans, but I don't know this thing they made that everyone talks about. So I am so excited to understand this cultural phenomenon that I wasn't a part of. So I'm really excited to see it in the proper way that can't be on Broadway. I can't be physically on Broadway, so this seems like the best other way to see it. I think it's going to be directed well. The production value is going to be fantastic. It'll be... it's not going to be like being there, but it's going to be the closest thing I can get to it. So I'm really excited to check out Hamilton on Disney Plus, which drops this Friday. So starting with that Hamilton release, they're going to be doing effectively every Friday a giant movie. So it'll be like a Friday night at the movies, which is what I miss so dearly. Friday nights at the movies, having something to look forward to, something to wait on. So starting with Hamilton this Friday, we get that on the 3rd. Also this Friday, The Mighty Ducks. That's right, the OG Emilio Estevez classic, The Mighty Ducks, one of my favorite Disney live-action films of all time. The following Friday, we get one of the best Fox Marvel movies ever, not Deadpool. That will not be on Disney Plus, most likely. We are getting X-Men Days of Future Past, which is right up there with X-Men First Class for me. So Days of Future Past is going to be available on Disney Plus starting on July 10th. The July 10th second release, it's like a double feature, is also going to be Solo, A Star Wars Story. So if you thought that movie was as underrated as I did, check out Solo, A Star Wars Story starting on July 10th. The following week, we get another X-Men movie with July 17th. We get X-Men Apocalypse. I will not comment on the quality of X-Men Apocalypse. I'll move right along to the following week, July 24th, where we get Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. These movies are way fun. This fourth one might be the weakest of them. I personally love the third one. A lot of people hated, but it's going to be exciting to get another Pirates movie and another Friday release. So, Friday night at the movies, July 31st, Incredibles 2. The next week, moving into August 7th, X-Men 1, the movie that helped kick off the entire world of organized superhero films. Blade was the movie that gave us superhero films in the mainstream, in my opinion. It gave us a movie that was like, hey, it's a vampire movie, but shh, it's also a comic movie. X-Men was like, hey, it's a comic movie, but we're going to wear all leather, so let's not really, we're getting there. Like, X-Men was a giant step towards comic book movies. Blade started it for my money. X-Men kicked it off to the level it's at now. Spider-Man obviously was the alley-oop. They were on a team together. 2000 was X-Men, 2001 was Spider-Man. Huge chunk of year for changing cinema towards the one we have now. But X-Men in the year 2000 changed the game in a very interesting way. That drops on Disney Plus on August 7th. The 7th also gives us the Peanuts movie. As a kid whose nickname was Charlie Brown growing up, because I had the same size head but a little body, I'm excited to see it. I missed it in theaters. August 7th, we get the Peanuts movie. The 14th, Ant-Man and the Wasp, a very fun sequel. I actually like more than the first. I'm one of those in the camp that the sequel is better than the first one. We also get on the 14th, The Greatest Showman, Hugh Jackman being the Hugh Jackmaniest he ever has, Hugh Jackman. And then the 21st, Beauty and the Beast, the live-action Emma Watson joint. And finally, an extended cut of Fantastic Four on August 28th. I am fascinated by what an extended cut is. I think the Fantastic Four movies are ridiculous and fun, but what is an extended cut? I've never seen it. So, release the story cut. We're getting that on the 28th alongside Alice Through the Looking Glass, the sequel to, obviously, Alice in Wonderland. And then finally, the last one on the schedule, September 4th, brings us The Wolverine. A two-thirds impeccable movie. 2 acts of this movie are just fantastic, and that drops on September 4th. And that is what the summer at the movies on Disney Plus looks like, and I think that's really cool of them to stagger their releases. I think it's really cool to have Friday nights to look forward to. Keep those in mind when you're missing the movie theater, because I think it's a really cool opportunity to give us content that is new, potentially to us, but is all fun and a good experience and a good summer blockbuster feel. So that is all coming out very soon. We also found out this week that Amazon is upping their number of watch party participants to 100. 100 people. can join you in an Amazon watch party, which is very exciting if you have more friends than I do. I know 100 people, but I don't think I'd want to watch a movie with 100 people. Like, I don't know them well enough to want that. It seems like a lot. But Amazon Watch Party has upped their criteria or whatever programming to 100 individuals. So if you want to have a birthday party and watch movies, pretty cool. I think my birthday's in September. I think I'm going to do a drink along on Zoom. I don't think we're going to be out of this in September, so I think I'm going to start planning my birthday in July, so I can have people square that night away to do an at-home thing, and I think I'm going to do a Zoom drink-along movie experience for safety. So maybe I'll use Amazon, because I can put 100 people in there, which is pretty crazy. So Amazon, thank you for being aware that we're all in quarantine and modifying accordingly. And that is kind of where we're at. So Disney Plus, changing their release planning. Amazon, upping their Prime amount of party viewership. Netflix has its own party viewership too. I use Zoom personally. There's lots and lots and lots of opportunity to be somewhat social. If you're an extrovert like myself, it has been very hard to get the same endorphins, the same rush of experiencing being around people via Zoom. But I think we're all going to have to adjust, because that's for the best. I'm not going to risk killing people by going out. So we're all going to have to figure out how to refuel ourselves in these crazy times. And movies are certainly a great way. Comic books are an incredible way. TV definitely helps. The arts, thank you very much. Let me go over to the live chat, make sure I didn't miss anything. Also, the Streamlabs. I'm going to check the Streamlabs, make sure we're good there. Drink some of this delicious Coy-Puccino. Oh, that's nice. Okay, live chat. How we doing? Origins is rough but hilarious. I totally agree. Do a Wolverine rewatch. I think it's certainly worth it. Let's see. Michael B. Jordan, Tom Clancy movie. Yes. It definitely was pushed, but I am also excited for it. Let's see. Okay. Everyone generally in agreement on my movie theater concerns, which I appreciate. I've gotten some kickback on Twitter, but I get it. Everybody's got their own opinion. I respect your opinion as long as it's informed. It is going to be an interesting learning curve for all of us. Next up, let's talk about changes in comic books. This week is all about changes in infrastructure due to the coronavirus. And next up, comic books are making a big old change. DC, I think, is just basically upping their digital content to not take over their print, but I don't think it's going to be the majority print for long. They announced a robust digital line coming, and a lot of their premiere books are going that way. Superstar artist behind the Harley Quinn book that just wrapped up, Sajin Kopasek, I think is his name. He's great. He's a digital artist. I like his work. He's got a new Harley Quinn book called Black, White, and Red, and it's digital only. And that book would have been a premiere book. So it scares me when a book of that caliber goes digital only. And also, we've had the new Tom Taylor book 2 weeks ago go digital only. We've got some of these books being digital first, getting a later release. And just in general, I could see Warner Brothers and the higher-ups at these companies just not seeing the merit in printing comics. And that will kill comic book stores, obviously. I do think we're going to keep Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, some of the big three in comics print. But I do worry about the ramifications long-term of making things digital priority. I do think that there's going to be a lot of issues with what comic books are allowed to be if they become digital only. I've had a lot of trickiness with, Ant-Man, for example. Ant-Man by Zeb Wells that just finished, I was loving. I was buying it in print, and then, issue 4 or 5, that went to digital, and they're going to collect it in a trade in print. But that means my 1, 2, and 3, which is all I have, don't have a conclusion. I don't remember if 4 or 5 went digital, but no matter what, issue 5 is digital only. So I don't have a way to complete my run, and that sucks. And there's going to be a lot more of that, I think, as we go along, and it's going to be really crazy with the times. I don't think comic book stores are going to stay open long. If you can safely go to yours, wearing a mask, do all that, go help them out, go get your comics that are on hold, go support your local comic book store. I do think we're going to be shutting back down probably in about a month. I think some places are going to be a little bit behind than others, but I think overall we're going to start to see shutting down soon, and I think within a month we're going to be all tucked in at home again. So we'll have to see how that goes. But DC going digital only helps them because you can get comics to people when they're stuck at home. It helps them because there's no printing. It's cheaper. You just pay for the artist and the writer, and then you've got a distribution model. I see the merit, but I really think it's going to be at the cost of comic books as we know them, and I'm a collector, and I like print, so we'll see. We will see. This is all just theory. This is all just off a few comics going that direction, but I felt like telling you guys, like, I'm a little worried about the longevity of DC in print to the level it's at now. DC already prints about 1 book to every 2 Marvel books, and they print about, like, 1/3 to 2/3 more than Image and IDW and the smaller houses, but like Marvel and DC are the big 2, and they print less books than DC does. So if they cut back even more and go more digital, that does worry me. So I just saw a fantastic Streamlab pop up, so I'm gonna answer that question real quick before I go over to what Marvel's doing. Michael McCarsell, what is going on, dude? We talked earlier today. Michael and I are doing a watch along on Friday. We're going to do a watch-along that I am very excited for. A lot of people know me for comic books, but I love movies of all ilks, and I am a giant Chuck Palahniuk fan. So we're going to do a watch-along for a movie that I can't talk about because the first 2 rules tell me not to, but I'm very excited. Friday at 6 p.m. PST, me, Michael McCarsell, and whoever of you want to join us live watch-along. I'm going to wear headphones this time, no audio. Not going to get taken down by the sound police. Very excited, and that is thanks to the patron, Michael McCarsell, who is an awesome dude. He's also going to get me to watch Death Note when I got time, and I'm very excited for that as well. In the Streamlabs, I definitely agree that theaters shouldn't reopen. I manage a restaurant, and where I live, we're already getting close to 75% capacity. It's honestly terrifying. Everyone needs to take this seriously and help save lives. Dude, 75%, man. Jesus. One, I'm sorry, that sucks and is terrifying. 2, that isn't safe at all. 3, I hope that when we all crack down again, they do a much better job of making sure restaurant employees are taken care of. The fact that Guy Fieri did more for restaurant employees than the United States government seemed to, I've always thought Guy Fieri was a good dude. He always had memes about him that seemed to not like him so much, but he seemed great to me, and now he's putting money in the pockets of restaurant employees because he's a great guy. It scares the hell out of me, man. So be so safe. Wear 18 masks. Wear so many masks you look like you're part canine. Like, have a snout of masks. That is really, really crazy. I am so sorry. Speaking of which, if Max Shorts is watching this, he sent me a message on Twitter. It was a public message, so I assume this is safe to say. But Max Shorts, I'm so sorry to hear about what is going on with COVID with you and your community. That is a very intense situation, and you have all of my thoughts. I am thinking of you. I'm not a religious man, so a lot of people say thoughts and prayers. I don't really have those, but I got thoughts, and they're positive, and they're coming at you, thinking positive thoughts about you getting better, bro. That's crazy. And dude, Michael, I like maybe like those crane games when you have like that, like do that, like bring the stuff to your tables like with a long arm, like a 6-foot like crane game assist. Fuck, I don't even know, man. That's insane. And I have a lot of love. I've only driven through Louisiana, and I've stopped in New Orleans like every other tourist, but I have a lot of love for Louisiana because the culture there is so lively, and there's so much unique worldview and perspective in Louisiana, so I have a lot of love for that state, and I'm so sorry to hear that people aren't taking it seriously, and you have all of my hopes and aspirations for that insanity, so Jesus Christ. Be safe, be well. I'm excited for Friday, but be safe and be well at your restaurant. Holy crap, man. Moving over to what Marvel is doing while we all think of how to get Michael out of his job, or to get everyone to stop going to restaurants. One of those two things, because I'd rather him not lose his job. I'd rather people just stop going to fucking restaurants and the government be aware that we are all suffering. But that's not gonna happen. We'll figure it out. All right, let's see. Michael has this to say. Luckily, we don't bring much to the table. It's deli-style service, so we at least have a sneeze guard and counter between us. That is good. Okay, that's still terrifying, and 75% capacity can only, protect you so much, but I'm glad you're not physically going over to tables with or without the crane game thing. But, dude, you are a champion. Good God. In the world of comic books, Marvel is cutting their big summer event by 40%. Whoa, what is going on? We know there was going to be some cuts. We know when this all started, certain runs were going to end abruptly. We know certain runs were going to be delayed. As it stands now, Marvel is still not putting out nearly as many books as they were in February. That said, I expected the Empyre event that was supposed to start in April when it started in late July, or when it started in late June going into July, was going to be a big, robust summer event regardless, because I thought it'd be further along. I thought it was probably approaching done. But when Newsarama, a great source of comic book news, was going through the checklist for basically the entire Empyre event, it was cut by 40%. 21 planned Empyre tie-in issues are no longer part of the event, according to the latest Marvel checklist. Now, summer events are usually like, a 6, 8, 12 issue maxi series, and then like Marvel tends to do like, Spider-Man Empyre 3 issues, X-Men Empyre 3 issues, and they all kind of intertwine and they have, different pieces. We're still getting Empyre, and we're still getting some of those tie-ins, but it does not look like we're getting a lot of the tie-ins that were originally planned. Like Strike Force number 10 was an Empyre tie-in. Strike Force doesn't seem to be going forward whatsoever. It is no longer a part of the plan. It is not on the solicitation for August or September. 31 issues are still happening, but it was 52. Now, 52 seems way too big for an Empyre tie-in anyway, but when you lose 21 of 52, when you keep 31 and get rid of 21, that is a giant shift in what the Empyre event was going to be. So that is pretty insane to look at from the overall perspective of what this Empyre event was going to be. I'm still very excited, but I don't know what to expect. I personally am not as big on the cosmic side of Marvel. I thought Empyre number 0 was incredible. I love Al Ewing. If anyone's going to get me excited in a Kree-Skrull war, it's going to be Al Ewing. But I don't know what it's going to be now that it's cut in half, effectively. So just keep an eye on that. They might have just misprinted. I doubt it. That's a pretty major misprint from the actual publisher on a checklist. But it went from a 52% to 31%. So, shit. I just thought you guys should know. So DC is going digital in a strong way, and Marvel is changing some of their big events in a very big way. So comic books as well as movies are forever restructuring. So I just want you guys to be aware that we're all going through transitions. All of this is absolutely insane, but keep an eye on all these bits of the ramifications of all of this. It's pretty crazy. Mukbang reviews, always a pleasure. Mukbang says, just support for your channel. Thanks for the great shows. I appreciate you. Thank you very much, Mukbang. Much obliged. We also need to discuss the insanity that is Ozark. I don't know if you guys watch Ozark, but it's a very good show. It has been renewed for a 4th and final season, and much like Breaking Bad, it is going to be cut in 2 parts. So I fell off a bit season 2. I have not watched season 3 yet, but I hear it's as good or better than season 1, so I'll be getting right back on that horse after I catch up on all my shows. I'm currently watching season 4, episode 20 of West Wing, so I've got 3 more episodes of season 4. I just finished season 3 of Community, so I'm on season 4, episode 1 of Community. So I've got an hour-long show and 1 half-hour-long show that are not for work, they're for me. I'm trying to keep a little bit of content that I'm not like watching with a reviewer mind or doing for work. I'm trying to like have a little time. On Sundays I try to relax. It doesn't work, but I try. And then after that, I'm going to replace the hour-long show of West Wing with with Kingdom. Kingdom is a great MMA show that I've never watched. I've watched like 5 episodes when I was at friends' houses because I've never had the network it was on. But it stars 2 of my favorite actors, Jonathan Tucker and Frank Grillo. So I'm very excited to watch an MMA show because I will probably be training and boxing and going insane while it's on, which is going to be great for my morale. I need me some violent content to punch that bag. So that is going to be my new hour-long show. My new half-hour-long show is going to be The Good Place. And then after that, I am told I must watch Avatar. I've never seen Avatar, the animated series. And then the hour-long show I'm watching after that, I forget what it's called, but I've got a queue. After my queue, I've got 6 one-hour shows to watch, and I think 9 half-hour shows to watch. Ozark is the 6th hour-long show. If you care, you might not. I might have just ranted at nobody. But that is where I'm at with TV. I'm also going to be watching more My Hero Academia for the great patron John Getz. I'm going to be watching more Death Note for the awesome Michael McCarsell. I haven't watched Death Note yet, so not more, but I'm going to be watching some Death Note. Apparently episodes 1 through 7. I'll be doing a review for that. So all of that's coming. All of that. But for now, the only 2 shows I'm watching for me without like having to take notes, because when I do these reviews for Patreon, I'm serious, man. I take notes throughout, so I'm like very much here, and then I watch 10 to 20 hours of reviews. I look through all the trivia, I go through the Wikipedia, I look at budgets, I look at ratings. That's not like a thing you do for funsies. So I need 2 shows that are funsies, and somewhere down that list will be Ozark. Thank you, Ian. I try. Thank you for caring about my insane watching habits that are so OCD. Next up, if you guys listen to Coycast, which is the audio leg of the Coy Empire, Coycast is my podcast that drops on Wednesday at dawn. We've been doing an Ultimate Spider-Man book club. That has been so very much fun. We just did episodes 8, 9, and 10 that drop tomorrow. Basically, I've switched to doing the book club mainly over there because I like this being news, and it's kind of redundant to go both. So Coycast is free. It's on Spotify, iTunes, anywhere. So anywhere that you get your podcast, you can check out that book club. I forgot to plug it last week to say I was doing the Ultimate Spider-Man stuff over there. Where you'll be able to see the conversations about comic books with video elements is going to be my new show, Comic Books and Craft Beer. I dropped my very first episode on Friday, and it was so much fun. Tavour is doing this incredible sponsorship team up in the superhero world with me right now with Tavour, and it's going to be basically, if you guys want, use the code COY10, COY10, and you got $10 off after you spend $25 on beer. I am so proud to have a beer sponsor code. It fills my Boston heart to the brim with sweet, sweet stout. COY10, COY10 to get $10 off after you spend $25. So basically, until I run out of the beer they sent me, they are my impromptu sponsor for comic books and craft beer. And then I'm going to be doing basically what Mark Riley does, and if you guys want to sponsor a beer, I'll try to find the beer you recommend or the type of beer you recommend, and you guys just help me. We'll team up and we'll do it the Mark Riley way. So that'll be after the Tavour stuff. But anyway, that is the show I'll be talking about comic books more on, because this show is full of news. I will be covering my favorite comics from last week, as ever, but the book club and all that stuff's going to live over there, and we're going to have very special guests on comic books and craft beer. So that is going to be a lot of fun. Also, I think I can say this. Yeah, in 2 weeks, there's a really cool guest coming to Coycast, and maybe this show. I'm going to see if we can do a video element with this guest. But there's a really cool guest coming to Coycast, who you guys know I'm friends with, who he invented Deadpool. I'm very excited. So he'll be coming on the show in 2 weeks, and maybe the video part of the show as well, and we're going to be talking about all sorts of G.I. Joe stuff and all sorts of goodness. So very excited, and yeah, comic books, still very much alive, still going to be really rad. All right, let's go over to, okay, that was comics. We're going to do the poll at the very end. This is the part of the show where, before I get into the real world stuff and accidentally get angry, I want to check on the live stream, because I don't want to miss any of the live stream goodness in my fits of rage. Streamlabs, let me check you out. Streamlabs, I saw a couple bubbles pop up, and I want to make sure I say hello to these lovely, lovely folk that help me keep doing this show. Loading is a slow process, but it is happening. Let's see. We've got a decent amount of favorite comics from last week, the week of June 24th, and then we've got a ton of streaming recommendations. Okay, over on Holy Streamlabs Batman. All right, Jason Ritchie, good man. Thank you. I appreciate you. Let's see what Jason has to say. I keep seeing rumors of comic crossovers between companies coming after the pandemic, so I'm curious. Who would you like to see in a crossover? Mine may be weird, but I'd love to see Spider-Man and Deadpool teaming up with Batman and Red Hood. Ooh. Okay, so at first I was like, Jason, that's not weird. Spider-Man and Deadpool. That's like match made in heaven. But then the Red Hood Batman combo. Batman and Spider-Man have teamed up in the past. Batman and Spider-Man have actually a gorgeous cover for their team up, and the reason they teamed up was really cool. It was in the mid-90s, so that's already got a precedent, and it's canon. So the team up you describe, you could have the current iteration of Spider-Man Deadpool, who just had a 50-issue run in the comics that was exceptional. Started with Joe Kelly, Ed McGuinness on art. It's one of my favorite Spider-Man runs or Deadpool runs ever. Highly recommend it, Jason. It's called Spider-Man Deadpool. They just ended a 50-issue run. So currently, our current iteration of Spider-Man and Deadpool in canon very much team up and know each other. Juxtaposing that, Batman and Red Hood are reluctant teammates very often. And so are Spider-Man and Deadpool. They know each other, but they're reluctant. So I love this idea of having two sets of teams from different universes that are reluctant to be with the other person as a team-up book. I think it's fantastic. I'm all in. Plus the wackiness of Spider-Man and Deadpool, Spider-Man is wacky compared to Batman. Deadpool is another animal of insanity. Deadpool would drive Batman absolutely insane. This would be a I will not sanction your buffoonery situation. I'm all about this idea. So Red Hood, on the other hand, would be totally about learning mercenary techniques from Deadpool. I could see Red Hood needing to get like tips from Deadpool. I think it's a fantastic idea. So I see Red Hood and Deadpool talking about, the violent manner they do things. I see Batman seeing the nobility in Spider-Man and his tolerance of Deadpool. And then on the corners, Batman having to tolerate Deadpool. That's a great comedic structure. Spider-Man wondering why Red Hood's considered a good guy with power and responsibility. That's a great, dramatic structure. That is my pitch for your team up. I think it's spectacular. I am all in. I want to make sure there wasn't a question there that I didn't cover. I also would like to see Kyle Rayner team up with Miss Marvel. I think that Kyle Rayner being such a force of creativity and Miss Marvel learning how to use her powers, which are fairly new. It's a fairly new character. That'd be a lot of fun. Who else would I like to see? I would like to see Beta Ray Bill and Wonder Woman. For whatever reason, I think the cosmic side of the gods and then the cosmic side of the DC gods, that'd be a lot of fun. Beta Ray Bill, Wonder Woman. Who else do I want to see? I'd like to see Spawn and Batman again. I'd like to see... Miles wasn't around for the Amalgam stuff, so I'd like to see Miles team up with a bunch of people. I'd like to see Miles Morales interacting with the DC Universe. Yeah, I like this thought. I'm going to ponder it more, but I hope you like that pitch. I hope I answered your question. Jason, always great to hear from you, man. Dr. Nitrogen's musical empire. More support for you, Coy, and your great content. You're my number one guy for comic news and stuff. Thank you very, very much, Dr. Nitrogen. You are very appreciated. Always good to see you pop up, and I appreciate the vote of confidence being the number one spot. That is a high honor, because there's a lot of people doing the YouTube news content, but I really try to come from a place of getting all of it I can, and covering every last corner of comic books and movies and everything else. So I'm glad you're right here. Thank you, Jason. Oh shit! Jason is actually on Spider-Man Deadpool number 6 right now. That issue has a moment. I'm gonna say The Lift. You'll see what I mean. And it's an 80s movie reference. I don't want to give it away. That issue has a moment that is an 80s movies reference that is perhaps my favorite team up. Any comic book, any medium, anything ever. That is up there with Riggs and Murtaugh. That is up there with oh dude, you're in for a treat. Issue number 6 is so much fun. And that first arc is peak Spider-Man Deadpool. Just comics in general. Like Joe Kelly, Ed McGuinness. So good. Jason, enjoy the hell out of that. And congratulations on the experience you get to have right freaking now. Yes, good man. All right, over to the real world. Last week, I got a little hyphy, and I'm going to try not to this week, but I also want to make sure we talk about the real world while we're talking about all of the fantasy worlds out there in the game. How do I know there are people that see wearing masks as, for whatever reason, partisan. That is in part due to leadership encouraging that thought process. I don't support looking at data as biased. Data is data. Data is fact. Science is fact. Science is how we evolved. Science is how we got electricity and internet. And literally this show existing was thousands of years of science. I'm still baffled by how live content works. I don't get it, and I'm impressed. That said, the science of what we're going through right now, we are batting against. Like, we're fucking slamming our head against a brick wall against science. This Dr. Fauci guy, I've been like this with him. Overall, I've really appreciated his voice in the matter, but like when he disappears, I'm like, we need you. And then I'm like, oh, right, we're hiding him. So like Dr. Fauci seems to be coming from a very, very reasonable place. Nothing he says seems very radical to me. But it seems like we're coming up against his facts in a very condescending for the sake of ignorance way. Now, I know a lot of people that think this is a hoax. I know a lot of people that don't know anyone with COVID, so they assume it's not real. The numbers, which I'm going to get to in just a minute, are staggering. So you will, congratulations, you're going to know someone with it. I had a very good friend's father pass away. I know people that have it. I know people that I have a good friend who, like, had a roommate come home get it, and then, like, then realized a bunch of people had it, and it's around me like crazy. I'm getting tested constantly. I'm not seeing a lot of people. But a friend's dad died. A friend I've known for 9 years. It's insane that people think it's not real, or it's a cover for an insane amount of conspiracy theories. And something I tweeted today, Rand Paul is a fucking retard. Sorry, that word's not appropriate. Is a very dumb person who has a doctorate. You can have a piece of paper that says you're smart, but if you say the dumb things, that piece of paper was a thing in your past. You can get dumb. In my opinion, he got dumb. He basically, I want to make sure I get the quote right, because I don't want someone in my comments to get upset with me for misquoting a person that has a doctorate or what have you. He basically said that, like, experts shouldn't determine the reality of things, and that's okay. It's right here. We shouldn't presume that a group of experts somehow knows what's best for everyone. Experts are an expert in their field. They are who we look to for guidance for the masses. We need the people that are informed to inform us. We need to be informed by those that are informed. So yes, I would like the experts to tell us what's going on. Guys, the numbers that are actively upticking right now are so staggering. As it stands, an hour before the show, the last time I looked at the numbers, 10,360,900 cases worldwide. 10,360,900 cases. Now, for all the people that are like, they're counting everyone that's sick. If only 10 million people got sick in the last 4 months, that's crazy. We're going to live forever. 10 million is just COVID numbers, and that's terrifying, because that number keeps, like, now it's exponential. Like, one person turns into 10, and then so forth. The number of deaths worldwide are 507,000 deaths. Now, when this all started, people were saying 2 to 3% was the number I kept seeing mortality rate, which was already staggering. Imagine losing 2% of the population. If you went to school with 300 people in your graduating class, I think I was about 300 people, that means 6 people you graduated with die from this. Not from, like, dying from a car accident, not like dying from a thing that could have been controlled. 6 out of your graduating class if it was 300. That was the number they told us then. But this is 500,000. This is 500,000 out of 10 million. So that means that 5% of everyone that got it worldwide died. And this isn't counting people that improved, that are going to be on ventilators. This isn't accounting for people that are going to have innumerable health problems for the rest of their lives. This isn't counting the people, like for example, Jon Stewart, the great Jon Stewart of The Daily Show, has been fighting to get health care for first responders of 9/11 since he retired from The Daily Show. He did that since 2001, and it just had progress like 2 years ago. That's nearly a job in itself for a decade. That's insane, and that's first responders, because they breathed in all of those horrible things, and that caused them a myriad of health problems that lasted for a long time. Just because you survive this doesn't mean you're not going to have a myriad of health problems for a long time and will die from relations to it. So this number is 5% that are already died. Who knows how many will die related to it? So 5%. Now we're talking about, if you know 100 people, that's 5 people that you're accepting die. That's a family member, nearly guaranteed. That's 1 out of 20 people. That's insane. 1 out of 20 people that's fine. I'm not going to wear a mask. Fuck masks. 1 out of 20. At the numbers we're at now, and that number's only growing. Now, it gets scarier. 507,000 cases worldwide of deaths. Americans account for 126,360 of those deaths, which means out of every death in the world, we're 1 out of 4. 1 out of 4 deaths is here because we're not handling this well. Out of the 10 million cases, 2,606,220 are domestic, which means 1 out of 5 cases is us. So 1 out of 5 cases, American. 1 out of 4 deaths, American. How is this not? How are we at bars? How are people at Michael McCarsel's restaurant? How are people out? It's so bad. I was trying not to talk about COVID because I was marching in the BLM movements and I was doing things that felt we can't change COVID. I'm hoping we can change racism. So I didn't talk about the COVID stuff for a few weeks, but now we still got racism and we still got COVID. So I'm trying to balance it all. Please wear a mask. Please stay home. Do as much as you can at home. There's so much great content. If you're watching this, you're probably a fan of YouTubers like me. There's plenty of us to watch and enjoy the content of. I'm so worried, guys. This isn't going to end in 2020. Period. I don't know if shelter at home, when it comes back, if it will end in 2020. I know the ramifications are going to be the rest of our lives. But I think shelter at home is the rest of 2020. Election or no, like there's no magic button there's no magic button in November, and there's no magic button January 1. Everybody's like 2020's been rough. I'm like, it's gonna stay rough because we're not doing the fixing. So I'm approaching the end of my real world rant. Just be smart. I'm not gonna tell you what to do. Look at the facts, look at the data, try not to listen to conspiracy theories, try not to listen to try not to let ignorance that feels more fun invite you into the dark side. It is more fun to go out. It is more fun to go to bars. It is more fun to see your friends. It is certainly more fun. But it also might kill you and everyone you know. So much love to you for surviving and doing well and taking care of you and yours and taking care of your family and being a good person. So much love to that. And I apologize to anyone that watches this show just for escapism, but we can't escape the real world. Me closing my doors and being sheltered in place doesn't mean that's not all happening out there. Just because me being a bright-eyed white guy doesn't mean there's not racism right outside of my fucking door. So I can't not talk about it anymore. So it's going to get sprinkled into my content, but I appreciate the hell out of you guys in any direction that you're taking towards making the world better. Speaking of racism, Rayshard Brooks' killer is out on $500,000 bail. That's lovely. And Elija McClain, who is probably the most heartbreaking last words I've ever read. Elija McClain, I was going to read his last words so you guys could hear them if you haven't, but I couldn't get through them on live. Like, I know I can't. So I'm not going to do that because I want to finish the show on an up note. I'm going to try to not ever finish the show on a down note because I don't want to be that guy. So I opted out of reading his last words to you. But Elija McClain, please look up this young man. He was anemic. He was wearing a face mask because he got cold because he had anemia. And he was killed brutally by cops. And he literally said, I'm an introvert and please don't hurt me. I love you. He was saying all these incredible, just impossibly kind things while he was being killed. And those last words broke my heart in a way I can't really fully piece back together. They had a rally with violins at his in his honor because he played violin for upset children and animals. Like, that was something he did. So, and to honor him, they played a violin at a rally, and SWAT aggressively and violently just an aggressive abuse of power all on camera for a case that needed to be reopened. Please look up Elija McClain, read his last words, think about him. Think about what you can do so that doesn't happen anymore. Think about what we can all do to make the world a little better. Think about every ramification to all of your actions. For example, I'm a Boston kid that grew up in the 90s. That R word I almost said in regards to Rand Paul, that can hurt some people. And even though it's a habit, I'm not going to excuse almost saying it. So that's why I stopped, apologized, moved on. Like, those little things you can do to just make yourself a little better. The little details you can do to make yourself a little better, make someone else a little better, and then eventually we'll have a cascading effect of the world being better. Just start with you, start with your shit, start with making you better, and it'll change. So yeah, look up Elija. Keep an eye on the Rayshard Brooks case, and please wear a mask. Please be careful, and please take care of yourself. Let's get back to fake shit, because the real shit sucks. Let's talk about comic books. Fictional worlds are much better than ours because heroes exist there and people have morals. In the world of comic books, my favorite books from June 24th were Ant-Man, number 5. It was a book that came out June 17th, but I missed it because it was digital only, and I tend to get comics in tangible, and I missed it, and I'm bummed that it's only digital, but it was a fantastic book from Zeb Wells, which I very much appreciate existing. Next up, Batman 93. I am loving the hell out of this Batman run from James Tynion. Punchline is a fantastic new character. Check out that book. Also last week, Batman the Smile Killer #1. That is a one-off book based off of Batman Killer Smile. So it's like an epilogue. It's like a denouement, and it's fantastic. You don't need to have read Killer Smile, but it helps if you do. You could read them independently or together. It's great. Captain America Marvel Snapshot is a wonderful one-off. Basically, it's a one-off about AIM in a very unique way. A kid that did not come from money could no longer go to college because his parents couldn't afford it, and then he ended up joining AIM, the Advanced Idea Mechanics of Marvel Comics, and it's a wonderful snapshot of who Cap is, what the Marvel Universe can be. It's so good. Check out Captain America, Marvel Snapshot #1. Empyre, Avengers #0. Talked about Empyre earlier for them cutting that into a smaller event book, and the issue #0 was spectacular. I'm fully invested. It was a great Iron Man story. It was a great dissection of Iron Man's pathos. I really, really dug it. Next up, we've got Immortal Hulk 34. It's Immortal Hulk. It's incredible. It's also Al Ewing. It is a leader story. The leader, the villain of the Hulk, has a kind of a reboot origin in this issue. It is really good stuff. John Constantine, Hellblazer #7. I'm not liking this new arc as much as the last arc, but this first issue of the new arc has me intrigued, and I think it can only get better, but that first arc was so exceptional. 7 made the cut just off of ramifications of 1 through 6. Next up, Plunge #4. Joe Hill, Stephen King's son, is writing an entire line of comic books, shepherding an entire line of comic books, but one of the ones he's shepherding, he's also writing, which is Plunge. Plunge #4 is so very good, very creepy, very unnerving, and very math-based, which I really dig. Sex Criminals #29. We are almost at the end of Sex Criminals. The series is reaching its conclusion. Its climax, if you will. And it's a very good series that is so full of dirty jokes. It is perverse, it is funny, it is inventive, it is weird. Some of the visual humor in the art, Chip Zdarsky, the writer, is also an artist, and he's doing the art, and he puts so many visual jokes in this comic. It's a brilliant experience to read. So very funny. Spider-Ham, very adult though, if you're over 16. Check it out. Spider-Ham, guys, it's Spider-Ham. Do you want animal puns? Do you want some lols? Check out Spider-Ham. This issue ended with the end of the series at issue #5, but it's a fun little mini. Suicide Squad #6, Tom Taylor, reinventing Suicide Squad. All of the heart, all of the laughs. Tom Taylor's brilliant, and this new team is a lot of fun. Next up, the final 2 books of the week are my book of the week pull is Thor #5, Donny Cates. Donny Cates and Nick Klein doing arguably my favorite Thor run to date. I love Jason Aaron to death, and I love his run, but in 5 issues, Donny Cates has made me a new Thor that I can't get enough of. Love his Thor run. Nick Klein's art is powerful and wonderful. I loved him on Deadpool. I like him even more on Thor. Great stuff. Finally, Valkyrie #10, the Jason Aaron, aforementioned, writing the shit out of Jane Foster as Valkyrie. This book has mythology. It's got inventive uses of villains. It's got a lot of heart. It is very, very smart. It is very good. Check out any of those books. I'll be posting these. I posted these as a 9 grid on my Instagram, and also for patrons, any other book that I read, I do, one of my lower Patreon tiers is I rate every single comic I read, so like, you know, A, B, C, D, F, all of them. So my top books and the lesser books all make the cut there, and I do that every single week, so that's one of my Patreon tiers if you're curious about the other books I read this week that didn't make the top cut. This week, like I said earlier, July 1st, no new comics, just trades, so nothing on my pull list because there isn't anything there. There's a couple Image books, but none of the ones I'm currently reading, so that is where we are. I did enjoy Wonder Woman Dead Earth #3. That was a very, very fun time. It was a good book. Let's see. I want to check on the live chat before we go to streaming recommendations on the movie and TV side with the streaming services. Checking on the Streamlabs. How are we doing here? Streamlabs is, I believe, good to go. Nope, we got more Streamlabs. Amazing. You people are fantastic. Jimmy Mac 9588. Jimmy Mac says, loved craft beer and comics last week. Here's some money for next episode's drinks. I hope you're keeping well. Like the video, y'all. Jimmy, thank you for the beer fund. You're the first to specify in the super chat. That is for beer. I know exactly where that money is going. I have an idea for the next batch of beer I'm getting when I run out of Devour. Thank you. That is the first in the beer chest. Thank you for watching the show. Thank you for the Streamlab, and thank you for enjoying it. I appreciate the hell out of you. All right, I saw 40 ounce popping up in there. I did get 40 of OE on whatever day it was. I had 151 for lunch and OE for dinner. I definitely was like, I've had enough of this world, and I drank like I was in, not high school. You can't legally drink in high school, I drank like when I was 21. Exactly. Precisely 21. Next up, we got a Streamlabs from Jesus. What up, man? Jesus says, oh, dude, this made me so... Oh, dude, this made me mad. So Sunday, this family walked into my work. It works at a fast food place, and there's a sign on the door saying, in order to enter, you need to wear a mask. And this lady was so mad saying that is BS. Dude, every video I see of that shit, every encounter, I live near North Hollywood. Obviously, that peak Karen was a hell of an example to set for North Hollywood. I'm sorry you have to deal with that. I can't imagine what you're going through, Jesus. That is a shitty situation. And fast food workers already don't get enough respect. So in general, I tip my hat to you, even in the best of times. For some reason, people account and equate is account. People equate a price point to what level of humanity they should have. So, like, if something's on the dollar menu, for some reason they're like, fuck you, person giving me food that's cheap, you must not be good. And, like, there's a humanity deficit whenever the price gets lower that I'll never understand. And it also happens at the other end of the spectrum. Like, when people are treated very poorly for things being really low-priced, and then people get really high-priced things and treat people poorly. It's this fascinating bell curve of society. Like, capitalism has failed in general, but on the ends, it's extra fascinating. So... thank you for working in fast food. Thank you for being an essential worker and working during all of this. And thank you for tolerating some asshole family and not doing anything that would get you in trouble, because your patience is appreciated for people being awful. So keep wearing a mask, and hopefully that happens less and less and less and less. I say we start giving out mask tickets like jaywalking tickets. I used to think jaywalking tickets were bullshit, but then I realized the ticket is the fear that comes with not causing traffic problems. If one person gets a jaywalking ticket, then all their friends are like, oh, fuck, and we hear about it. One person gets a not wearing a mask ticket, people are going to start wearing fucking masks. Give out some fucking ramifications to this mask bullshit, because people are dying. The ramifications for not wearing it are dying. Maybe we should have some financial ramifications, because it seems like the only thing Americans care about is money. If we're willing to fucking die for money, maybe they should fucking live for money and wear a mask. Thank you, Jesus. All right, over to the chat. Sorry, guys. I knew once the real world came in there, I always have a harder time being on an even keel. I just get really upset at the world at large. All right, let's see. Let's see. Oh, Jesus is back. Reread my Deadpool, Kelly Thompson. So good. Yes, I totally agree. Gonna reread Immortal Hulk. No, gonna read Immortal Hulk later tonight. Sorry, I'm stumbling over words. These are all typed correctly. Gonna read Immortal Hulk later tonight. Also read Red Hood Outlaw again. Such a good series. And the Batman James Tynion 4 is doing amazing things. Donny Cates run on Thor, also amazing. You got great taste. I'm biased because you have the same taste I do, but you got great taste. I really appreciate you checking out all those books. I appreciate you supporting comic books, because they are a very tricky market right now, and all of those books, I agree, are spectacular. Also, another great opportunity right now, guys. There's no books July 1st, right? There's no new books except trades. Now is a great time to check out books of repute you haven't read, or reread books you loved. I'm rereading Mr. Miracle this week. I've been pushing it. I keep wanting to reread it. I keep getting busy. I'm checking out Mr. Miracle. I'm also reading Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. I'm also reading, for the watch along this week, a fantastic series of essays about Fight Club. I'm reading a bunch of things because we're stuck at home. That's something you can do that's very safe. So check out classic runs of comics. Check out runs you've never read. Read Saga. And pick up some books. I guarantee you've got books around your house that you've always said you were going to read. Now's the time. All right. And Jesus, excellent taste of rereading. All right, over to the live chat. Let's see. The commercial says Foster's is Australian for beer. Foster's is like saying Coors is American for beer. I've been to Australia for a length of time to quickly learn that Foster's is not Australian for beer. I think you're joking, but know that you're not tricking me. Bud Light and Coors Light are not American beers. They're water that has beer qualities. I think Foster's is probably how more Australians than not see that as going. Let's see. All Might, what up, John? We got John Getz, who says, Coy, for beer, I recommend Golden Drak, either their classic triple red or the 9,000 quadruple. Even the names sound like Dragon Ball Z. Like, I'm in. Beware, though, they are 10.5%. It's a Belgian ale and my favorite beer. I only do a couple at a time. All right, we have another contribution to the beer chest. Dude, I will be buying Golden Drock with this very super chat in your honor, and I will tell you exactly what I think of it. Maybe I'll do a Golden Drock while I do our next Patreon review. Maybe I'll incorporate Golden Drock into the Patreon review, and I'll discuss either my hero or whatever we dive into next, whatever movie or show, and Golden Drock, because that sounds very exciting. So I will be absolutely trying that out. That sounds very, very fun, and thank you very much for the encouragement. I've seen that beer, and it's a beautiful white bottle, and I love the logo, but I've never tried it. So I might have tried it like back in college, because it sounds familiar, but I know I haven't had more than one, and college, who remembers college? Certainly not the people in charge. All right, let's see. To the chats. Okay. People, Trevor Noah is not bad. I like Trevor Noah. It's a different show, but like I think that's good. I think if someone was trying to do a Jon Stewart, that wouldn't be a good show. It's a new set of writers. It's a new era. I think Trevor Noah is a fantastic host over on the new Daily Show. Yes, it is a Dirty Dancing reference. I don't see how anyone doesn't know someone who had COVID, but congrats to them, I guess. The same way that if there aren't cases, there aren't tests, and if there aren't tests, there aren't cases. I think people are friends with people that don't get tested, and then they don't know anyone with it. That's my theory. Let's see. Yeah. No, it's not just for. Yeah, I agree with the high fantasy. It's the young people perspective is very intensely dumb. Let's see. Oh man, 11 new cases here in Ireland. We get about 11 a minute. But I wanted to escape to Ireland ragged, so I'm with you, and that's rough. Let's see. Sorry if I am boring you folks while I look at chat. I just want to make sure I covered the gist. I can't read every single one. I do read these afterwards. But let's see. Travis, I do have a Patreon. Thank you for wanting to know. Thank you for caring. DJ Dribbles, what up, Ed? Devin No from back home. I respect that opinion. I think you're right. I think everything should close, and I think people should stay home. Yes. DJ, you're correct. Let's see. Yeah. I love our group here. Koi Pond, I respect the hell out of you. I'm not going to keep reading here because I'm clearly not doing my job up here, but I appreciate the hell out of you guys. For being logic-based people and believing in science. And one of my favorite things is seeing people have conversations about stuff they didn't know about and not jumping down people's throats and getting informed. All we can do is get more informed. All we can do is try to be better. So that is what's happening, and I love the hell out of that. So hell yeah. All right, Mukbang, more beer money. Love your shows. Who's your second favorite superhero? Well, you see, when Deadpool and Spider-Man are tied, that's a really tricky thing. Batman is the cliche answer because I love me some Batman. Let's go more obscure so I'm not just the guy listing off the most popular superheroes in the world. Kyle Rayner's Green Lantern, Con-El, which is Superboy, but like the 90s clone Superboy. I'm a big fan of Chamber. Let's go with Chamber. Chamber's one of my favorites that no one talks about enough. Chamber is amongst my favorites, and he's more obscure. Thank you, Mukbang, for the beer money. Jimmy Mack, fan cast Taylor Swift in a comic book property. All right. Oh, I just spilled my coffee everywhere. We're going to clean that up in a minute. This is easy. Dazzler. It's done. Make it so. Taylor Swift is Dazzler. It is obvious. It is glorious. It needs to happen. T-Swift as Dazzler. It's right there. And literally, I can't think of anyone better for Dazzler, and I can't think of anyone better for Taylor Swift to play. It is the perfect cast. Thank you for that, Jimmy Mack. All right. If there's dead air, it's Harrison Ford's problem. You watched Friday's show. I appreciate you. All right, let's do the streaming recommendations, and then I'm going to clean up all of this coffee I just spilled. Streaming recs for July are as follows. We got Netflix. I recommend Batman, Year of the Fan... Nope, sorry, that is Netflix. Sorry, this Batman is on Netflix and Hulu, which is very exciting. Batman Mask of the Phantasm is coming to Netflix and Hulu. We've got Definitely Maybe, a great Ryan Reynolds dramedy, a love story, very cute. The Town, one of my favorite heist films of all time, a great thriller, impeccable movie about Boston. I got some bias, but I love it very much. And Down to Earth with Zac Efron is a new docuseries from Zac Efron where he is trying to fix the world, and I think Zac Efron has grown up so much since High School Musical. He's one of my favorite personalities in the space, and he does a lot with his fame that is very important and very altruistic. Zac Efron has truly become the Human Torch that I always knew he was, both the Johnny Storm and the hero. Check out the Down to Earth with Zac Efron docuseries that is on Netflix. I think it starts in July 10th. Over on Hulu, we've got Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol dropping today. We've got Buried, which is Ryan Reynolds' fantastic one-man show, a very contained, claustrophobic film for these quarantine times. Forgetting Sarah Marshall, one of the comedies that still holds up from the 2000s, where a lot of comedies don't. Very funny movie. Russell Brand, one of my heroes. My Cousin Vinny, a classic. If you've never seen it, fix that. You'll be happy you did. The Educators, a fantastic foreign film that introduced me to a lot of incredible actors I have since followed. It is a great teen revenge thriller. I don't want to give anything away. The Educators is very good, and it's very topical for the times, even though it was made like 20 years ago. You'll recognize a lot of the cast. It's really good. Those are all coming to Hulu the first week of July. Amazon also has Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, also has Ali. Ali is an exceptional film. I watched it this week from Will Smith and Michael Mann. It's really cool to watch Ali and then Denzel Washington's Malcolm X back-to-back. That's what I accidentally did. And they become like companion piece films. A lot of the movie that happens here, the other stuff's happening here, and they kind of go together like a puzzle. Check out those movies. Anaconda. That's right. That's right. Sir Mix-a-Lot's hit. No, the movie with Ice Cube, not Sir Mix-a-Lot. Very good movie. It's not great, but it's fun. We've also got Buried. We already said that, but Buried is also available on Amazon. Edge of Darkness, the fantastic Mel Gibson police thriller. He might be a monster in life, but damn does he make a fine cop movie. Hitch. I keep not speaking today, so apologies. Hitch, Will Smith's fantastic romance about how to be a better man. Midnight in Paris, one of my favorite Woody Allen films. I'm really hit or miss with Woody Allen, usually miss, but one of the ones that hit for me was Midnight in Paris. I love literature, and I love playing with anachronisms, and this movie's cast is exceptional. Midnight in Paris is really good. Panic Room, David Fincher, underrated, great Kristen Stewart performance, incredible Jodie Foster, cornrows on Jared Leto, very claustrophobic thriller, also quarantine-tastic. Finally, Pineapple Express is on Amazon, another comedy that holds up many, many, many years later. Disney Plus is dropping Hamilton, talked about that in length, as well as Mighty Ducks this week. Excited for both. And finally, HBO Max is unloading some of their giant arsenal. After they debuted, they had a few, they had their opening movies, but now this July is their first, we got more. And that's HBO Max giving us American History X, Blade Trilogy, all three Blades, The Departed, another fantastic Boston movie, Fantastic Four Extended Edition, Horrible Bosses Extended Edition, Insomnia, the animated Batman movies, Lego Justice League movies, Mad Max 2 and 3, Magnolia, Supermans, all of them, 1 through 5, 12 Monkeys, and Watchmen. Those are my recommendations for HBO Max for the first week of July. They have so many movies coming at you, and I just saw another super chat, so I'm going to jump over there to make sure I don't miss it before we wrap up. This has been another almost feature-length show. I'm going to check over here. All right, in the super chat, Michael McCarsell, just getting a little more for the beer chest. Literally anything from Clown Shoes is going to be good. I've never been disappointed. Clown Shoes? That's exciting. Also, gang, the Super Chat and the Streamlabs is even better. Streamlabs, I will have all of this saved so I can bring this note. I'm going to screenshot and then bring this to a liquor store and just try to get any of it. So, Super Chat and Streamlabs, preferably Streamlabs, is the best way to tell me the beer. So Streamlabs number 1, Super Chat number 2, and I will have it all in writing. That's the easiest way. Thank you. And then finally, we've got John Getz for streaming. I recommend One Piece. The first 130 episodes. The first 130 episodes are on Netflix. The manga has sold over 470 million copies. Third all-time comic next to Bats and Soups. It is one continuous, fantastic story since 1997. That's so many. Years, episodes, fans. That's incredible. I've heard only amazing things about One Piece. I won't have time for 130 episodes until Phase 2, of quarantine, which is inevitable. But I will add it to the queue. This praise is not to be... You've yet to steer me wrong, John Getz. Every single recommendation you've given me has been pitch perfect, and it's always made me expand my horizons, and 130 is a big old bite of my life, which I don't have time for now. But if I break a leg or when phase 2 of quarantine gets us. That is an incredible recommendation, and you've not been wrong before, so thank you. Wow, that is... I knew it was big. I didn't know it was 97. I didn't know it was up there with Soups and Bats, and I had no idea it was 130 just on Netflix. That is truly a huge piece of anime. That's such an achievement. That's so rad. Well, internet, I'm going to jump into the live chat one last time before I clean up the giant mess I made. I don't know if you guys saw how full that coffee chocolate milk was, but it was full, and I spilled it when I got very excited about Taylor Swift playing Dazzler. But here we are. Let's see. We got... Forget the filler arcs, Coy. Filler arcs of... Are you talking about One Piece? I don't know how I'd skip those. Let's see. Let's see. People are excited about all of the streaming recs. I did. My mom was saying I had a hitch standee. I worked in a movie theater, and I took the hitch standee home, and I hid it all over the house. Also hid it in the back seat of my mom's car. I used to be a monster, and I used to scare my mom with Will Smith popping up in his white Abercrombie shirt. I also did it with James Franco's Pineapple Express standee. I used to take standees and prank my friends because I'm a good person. But yeah, Hitch was one of the ongoing ones. I think I kept Hitch till I moved. All right. Locke is an incredible isolated film. I don't know if it's on any streaming services, but I own it on Blu-ray, and it is a fantastic contained film. I totally agree. Yes. Okay, I think that's going to do it this week. It has been a very, very, very fun show to do with you guys. John Getz says he started One Piece just over 2 years ago and caught up last October. So worth it. Dude, that is so cool. That's such a commitment of time and energy and dedication to a piece of art. I love when art is so all-encompassing. I rewatched Friends, which is only 10 years. 3 years ago? No, 5 years ago. I rewatched Friends with a friend who hadn't seen it, and it was so much fun to just have that much to get through. Rewatching Community right now. I watched The Office and Parks and Rec in 2018 and 2019. Those are all this big compared to this commitments. That's really, really rad. I will add it to the queue. I am fascinated. All right, gang. This has been another fun episode of Coy Cubed. I've enjoyed hanging out with you all very, very, very much. I miss my Oliver Queen beard. Seeing my face without the ridiculousness is a bummer for me because I enjoyed having preposterous facial hair, but I appreciate you guys not leaving now that I don't look like Oliver Queen. I do think, and this is for Smack Talk when he watches this later, I am going to keep growing my ridiculous hair out, though, until someone stops me. Also, I don't know if you guys saw, but I have been put in the For Your Consideration category for a certain award that I'm very excited about, so keep an eye on that. It's on my Twitter and on Instagram. I'm very excited. So I appreciate you guys all for being here. I appreciate you guys all tuning in every week, and I appreciate comic books for existing because that gives me something to share with you lovelies every single week. So thank you for being here, and thank you to comic books for existing, and thank you to everyone that contributed to the beer chest and to recommendations, and everyone in the Streamlabs and Super Chat. Y'all are my heroes and help this show keep existing. Y'all are the best. I will see you Friday latest for the Fight Club watch along. I'm very excited. All right, talk to you guys soon. Much love.